because of the flat.
Hey everybody, Phil Bongard here with 615housegrab.com, and we're going to peek in on another rehab training session with Paulie Pocketz, Paul Kazanowski with Revision Homes, LLC. If you want any information about this house or any of our other homes, just give me a call at 615-469-1500. So here we go. We're out in near Jolton today in a large ranch estate sale property.
Anyway, so that you're gonna do. Now, anytime you get into a house, hey, this is Paul Kazanowski and little Cinthya. How are you, Cinthya? Say hi.
Hi.
Anyway, we're just gonna walk through here, do a quick budget. I'm gonna talk to Cinthya about evaluating a house. We're in a ranch house on 3.5 acres, and I know Phil probably filled you in on the area and so on and so forth, but we're just going over the roof, and it's a ranch style roof, and we're looking at the damage up here. Anytime you're evaluating the roof, obviously the roof is leaking, but because there's so much rot here, you know that your boards underneath the shingles up there are bad. So you're gonna have to be changing a lot of the plywood up on top of the roof. So you have to, you have to budget in for that. When you're looking at a kitchen, normally a kitchen of this size, when you're looking at cabinets, you want to start with cabinets. Cabinets are going to be anywhere from $2,000 to $2,400 because there is quite a bit of cabinets. Now, cabinets come in different heights, different size. You could go a 30 inch, meaning 30 inch would be right here, 30 inch, or you could go to a 36. You're going to gut this whole thing out. So you have to put into perspective and consideration on what are you going to use. Are you going to use 30? If you use 30 in here, which that's what we normally use, it's not going to be as much. So a kitchen like this, you're looking at $2,200 to $2,400 on your cabinets. Then you got your granite. So your granite's going to cost you around $30 a square foot. If you look at a surface this big, I would say that's gonna be about $1,200 and so you have to kind of guesstimate. That's why we put an oops budget at the end of it, so that it helps you evaluate that without getting in trouble. Anytime you do a budget, if you screw up your budget, now you screw up your numbers. If you screw up your numbers, you're at risk of losing money or at least not making enough on a project like this. There's a lot. When you're looking at sheetrock, you're going to have to see, you got a lot of that knotty pine. This stuff here no one likes anymore. You can paint that. You can paint it. And if you get really close on your budget, you can actually paint this. You put a primer on that. You sand it a little bit, put a primer on that. And you could save a lot of money. You don't have to bring in a lot of sheetrock. But because there's so much damage here, okay, you want to basically bring in a sheetrock guy anyway. You're not going to get away with using a handyman on this. You're going to bring in a sheetrock crew. If you bring in a sheetrock crew, your budget on putting in sheetrock by board, they're usually 4 feet by 8. Okay, a 4 foot by 8 a piece of sheetrock to attach it to the wall. To mud and tape it 3 times. They tape it, mud it, let it rest. Come back, mud it, sand it down, do a triple mud. You've heard of that. That is going to cost you around $12 a board. I wouldn't pay more than that. I get it done for about $11 a board, but $12.50 a board. So when you come in here, you have to kind of guesstimate, but when you get your sheetrock guy to come here, you're going to ask him, how many boards is it going to take for me to buy? Okay, if he tells you 66 boards, you do 66 times 12, or $12.50 a sheet, and that's how you get a sheetrock budget. Also, too, if they're going to come in here and fix a lot and patch, they're going to do like a little patch here. There might be a little crack or a hole in the wall because these are old houses. The door opens into the sheetrock. They're going to fix that. They do what they call a hot patch, and then they do a lot of mudding and stuff like that and sanding. That comes retro, meaning after. After you get the amount on your boards, you're going to also have the amount for just fixing up all the little imperfections in the already existing sheetrock, that usually will cost you anywhere from $200 to $500. So you could give them a little bit more, give or take, but you'll have to negotiate that every time you do it. So now getting back, that's just on the sheetrock, because there's a lot of sheetrock work here. It's very dark, it's gloomy in here, 1970s, 1960s, it's got to go. Now the way I normally do a kitchen, I just come up with a number of $6,000. And I'm going to tell you, we were talking about the cabinets. We're looking at 22 to 24, 1,200 to 1,300 on the granite. And then usually you could get your appliances for $2,000 or less. So right there, you have almost $6,000. So almost every house that I go in, I just go ahead and budget around $5,500 to $6,500, depending on the size of the kitchen. The bigger the kitchen, it's going to cost you a little more for, you know, granite and everything we mentioned. Your appliances will usually be the same price, $2,000, $1,700 to $2,000. If you're working in a higher end house, you're going to be spending a lot more, because you're not going to put the lowest quality of stainless steel. You want to go up like to a Whirlpool Gold or something like that. We usually use the refrigerator, or whatever they call that. You know, Frigidaire, yeah, Frigidaire. And that comes with the range and the microwave and the dishwasher and just a over-under, meaning like this. This is an over-under fridge. Side by side usually will cost you a little more. That's what we usually get for around $2,000. Now you can go up all the way up to $3,000, $4,000. But if you're doing a higher end house, yes. But if you're not, I would stick to, you know, just as try to get as inexpensive as possible, but still have a nice package. Now moving along into like a bathroom. See, now this kind of stuff I would take out. This is very old, it's ugly, no one really likes this anymore. You'd be surprised what you could do here. What we normally do is because this is real rough, we would come in here and we would either knock this out, you'd be surprised, you could chisel this out. So chisel this out and put a flat tile type thing. Maybe like a travertine or even a ceramic tile. And you can make this really look modern and be the center point of the house when you walk in and have that fireplace. People like fireplaces, but they don't like them when they look at 1970 something, you know, and that's what we do here. So to do that, it would be somewhere around $600, and that's about $300 for the labor and another $300 for the materials. We do the demolition separately. We're going to go ahead and do a demolition budget at the end here. Some people like to do it in the beginning. The reason why I do it at the end is this way I can walk through the whole house and then get a kind of a ballpark figure how much time it's going to take. Because the demolition, you add your dumpsters, and in this house already, just being in here for 1 minute, I could tell you it's going to take you at least 3 dumpsters. Okay, because you're gutting the kitchens, you're gutting the bathrooms, you got bad carpet, you're gutting this, you're ripping out a wall here, ripping out a wall there, you got bad windows, you got to do the windows, you got some roof, not the roof. Usually when your roofer comes here, your roofer is going to take the shingles away. But the bad boards, they usually throw in your dumpster, so that's going to eat up some space too. Anyway, moving along. Here we got a disgusting looking shower and bathroom here. And this, I would say it's a complete gut job. The Pepto-Bismol pink, the plaid wallpaper, the pink sink is just not cutting it. The pink, look at the pink, you got to see this. So this all has to go. So we're talking about a lot of demolition and so on and so forth. So anyway, to make a long story short, there it is. Yep. The crapper, John Crapper. So looking in here, you're gonna see a lot of demolition. What I normally do in every house is I'll come in and say $3,000 for the bathroom if I'm gunning it out. Okay. And that's gonna include That's going to include a lot of the labor to put it back in. That's going to include the plumbing. That's going to include the new tile, the new vanities, the new commode, the new shower, because you're going to have to come in and do a shower bed, a mud bed. And what a mud bed is they come in and actually put some mud down and do like it's a rubberized substance that you put down, and then you put your tile over it. So to go quick, because you got to remember, you're evaluating these quick. Believe it or not, me talking to you, I would have been gone already. I know the budget already before we're going to get it, but I'm going to do the numbers as we go along. But I'm going to tell you, after you tally up these, I'm going to tell you what my budget is, and it's going to be within 10%, I bet you. Okay, so anyway, that's one. Let's keep looking here. What are we going to do? Are we going to blow out any walls? Me personally, would probably run this and make this a master because it's a big room. So you have to start getting creative too. You got that bathroom over there. I would actually cut into this wall and make that the master bath. So that's what I would do. And there's going to be some cost in that. And so in order to do that, you're looking at, just to do that, to get this opened up, would be somewhere around $1,000. And that's for ripping through, maybe having to do a header, because you're going to be taking out partial wall to get to that. And, you know, you're going to have to like reframe some of the angles of getting into that bathroom. But anytime you buy a house like this, and it's an older house, normally the master bedroom does not have a washroom in it, or like a bathroom in it. You want to try to get a bathroom, like a master suite with the bathroom in it. In some instances, this is one of them, where you want to cut into a wall to get to that bathroom and kind of create some type of like master bedroom suite.
Would you keep the phone on the wall there, Paulie?
Yeah, the phone would have to go. So moving along here, I didn't see the part of the house, but you know, and we could go around the back of the house. You got to look, are you going to keep that barn or not? These are things you got to ask yourself. And what is it going to cost to get that barn? Because it looks like it's falling apart. It might be advantageous to just get rid of it, you know, because if someone doesn't know it's here, then they don't care. They don't know. But if it's here and you leave it like that, they're going to be like, well, you did the whole house. Why did you leave that there? So you have to, you're the boss of how things go on your house flip. You know?
People don't want to buy problems.
No, they don't want to buy problems, and that's a problem. So you got the hallway here you got a lot of problems here, and the reason why you have the mold there is obviously because of the roof. And you're gonna create the roof is creating a lot more problems right now, and so this all has to be gutted out of here. You can't just like paint that or dry it out. This all has to go, and everything within the area has to come out, and you have to bring in a mold remediator, and that mold remediator will rip. You can rip this out, but the mold remediator is going to come in and remediate all the problems behind the walls, because you have mold under there too. And so when you're coming through a house like this, you want to start counting the windows. Usually on the windows, it's going to be $200 a window installed. That's for labor, the materials, you know, just to the delivery charge, all of that. In turn, you can come in. Now, I get my windows at $129.99. Okay, I know a place I could get them literally for $80 a window, any size. But you have to put in consideration, I have to measure them. Then I have to bring the measurements to them, make sure they got the measurements right. Then go pick them up. Then bring them back here. Then get my guys to install them. Take these out. So you have to ask yourself, is that worth the savings? Or is it just worth to make one phone call, tell them to come here, they measure it, and the window company takes care of it? Me personally, because we do a lot of them, I rather make the one phone call. Back in the early days when we first started and we were trying to save every penny in every house, we would do the extra work and call. So that's up to you. I like the 200 a window game because it's a lot quicker.
If you measure it wrong, who pays for it?
Yeah, exactly. And
if they measure it wrong, it ain't your problem.
Exactly. And that's the same thing with the granite. We used to install our own granite. We did everything ourselves in the beginning. But we quickly realized that we're wasting so much time, so much effort, and it's not really worth the savings. So you kind of see where that's come from. So the windows, when you walk through and evaluate the windows. Now, this is a very important thing. This is what they call a flat panel door. Even though the doors are solid and they're still good and they still all work, are you going to keep these doors? Can you paint them? You could, but it will make it look like 1970s. There's a door called, it's basically a raised panel door, and you've seen them in the newer houses. You can simply buy just the slab, and the slab alone is about $20 at Home Depot. But is it just $20, or do we have new hardware? Do we have hinges? And who's going to install it? So how I do this is I count every single door, and I say every door is going to cost $60. Even though the material of the door is $20, but then you have the handle, which is another $10 at Home Depot. Then you have your hinges, which is about $2.50 a hinge. And if you have 3 hinges, that's $7.50. So when you look at the whole door, it's going to cost you around $60. Why? You got labor, materials, handles, and hinges. So any house that you go through, you're gonna walk in the house and go, okay, I gotta change all the doors. Look at the front door and the back door. Front door usually costs you around $200 to $250, plus about $75 to rip out the old one and put the new one in. So you have to always do like labor costs and then material costs. So when you're doing your door budget, just go around, walk around, just like you do with the windows. Go around with the doors, count each door. 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever doors there is. I'm going to change them. The front door and the back door, put $275 to $300 a piece. And then you have your interior doors, say $60 a piece to bring them up to date with the raised panel, 6-panel raised panel door. And that's how I come up with my door budget. When it comes to painting, you want to look at the square footage of the house, okay? And whatever the square footage is, most painters, when you're a good negotiator, will do it for anywhere from 75 cents a square foot to $1 a square foot interior. And then if you're going to paint the brick on the outside, you cut that interior price in half because they can get it, they could spray and go a lot quicker on the outside. So this house is probably around 1,800 square feet, maybe 2,000. So your interior budget to paint is going to be anywhere from 75 cents to $1. In an older house, it's going to cost you more to paint. Okay, because there's a lot more imperfections. They're going to have to come back and, scrape things and all that. They'll usually go $1 a square foot. And they have their wallpaper to pull off and all that. Usually that's going to be in the budget of painting. They'll come in here and you'd be surprised how you take wallpaper off is you try to strip the first layer. And if you have anything left, you take a hot sponge and put some wool light, like fabric softener, in hot water, and you take the sponge and soak it onto the wall, and then it scrapes off with a putty knife, and it comes off really quick. So a little wool light, little heat, and these guys will know it, but if they don't, you'd be surprised. You come in, you're going to save labor time by telling them the tricks of the trade. Just like when you're spreading mud, you could put dishwashing liquid in the mud, and it helps the mud smear on a lot quicker and faster and smoother, and it gives them less working time. So these are like little tricks of the trade. I figured I'd throw those in. So you're looking at about $2,000 for interior paint because it's 2,000 square feet. And then if you're going to do the outside, you're going to cut that in half, and sometimes you might want to throw in just a little more because there's a lot of trim work, a lot of prep work. So a house like this would cost about $3,000 to $4,000 to paint because it's older. It has a lot more nooks and crannies, so to speak. Okay, and a lot more prep work. And a good painter, the good paint job is all in the prep work. So if you cut them down too much on your budget, they're not going to prep it right. And then when they apply the paint, it's going to look like crap. And then the people that come in to buy, that's the first thing they see is a bad paint job. And they think that you did bad on everything else. So on the paint, it's a hit or miss. It's not always the square footage. It's not always what's on the outside if you're painting brick. It's kind of a roundabout way to come up with the numbers. And you have to look at the property. Is there a lot of prep work? Is there a lot of wallpaper? Is there a lot of cracks or caulking around the cracks in the trim and all that? So you're going to have to determine that. But on a regular basis, that's what it's going to cost. Now, my painter would do this house for $3,500. I guarantee it. I would tell them, and you're the boss, you got to tell them what the price is. So, moving along. This bathroom all has to be gutted. So, a bathroom this size with a tub, you're going to get rid of this tub. You can't save it. Although it is a very sturdy, good cast iron tub, it's not worth saving, and you'd have to paint this white and all that. It's better just to gut this. And again, we talked about bathroom gut jobs. We talked about anywhere from $2,500 to $3,000, give or take. So you have a lot of, again, I'm doing this and I'm mentally walking through and saying, okay, how much is my demolition gonna cost? You see, that's why I do my demolition budget at the end. Every house flipper does it in the beginning. I do it at the end because I'm doing my numbers in my head as we go along, and I'm telling you what's going to cost. So the second bathroom is going to be $3,000. So we have $3,000 for the other one, $3,000 for here, $6,000 for the kitchen. See how quick? And then you got $6,000 for the roof because it's a huge roof line, and you're on a ranch house. Then I got decking boards. The deck boards are rotten here. We know because it's rotten in the inside. Chances are that been leaking for a long time. That's how you deter this. Also, when you're talking about plumbing, electrical, this is an older house. Now you have electrical and plumbing issues. Normally, the plumbing in this house, it's a 1970s house, 1967 or something like that, right, Phil? So 1967, the plumbing is galvanized usually. Or like it just gets old and that you're going to have to rip out all this plumbing. So to do plumbing in a house like this is going to be around 4,500 square feet. And that's about average for an older house like this. So you're gonna put that in there just because, okay? Now, there's plumbing in the bathrooms. We already determined 3,000 and 3,000. That includes the plumbing, but you always want to be safe. And so I'm actually adding the plumbing in again on top of your numbers because when you're doing this, you don't know what's underneath the house, and you're not going to get under every single house. So you have to pad your numbers a little bit just so that you don't go over budget by, 10, 15 grand and you don't have the money to do it. So that's why I'm re-adding plumbing 45, and I didn't see the panel yet, the electrical panel, but knowing what we're going to do and put recessed lighting and new light fixtures, and there's no lights up in here, we're going to have to add. So when you look at stuff like that, you know that you're going to have to bring in an electrician, a licensed guy. What's a licensed guy going to cost? It's usually a lot more than some handy guy. So to do electric on this will usually be around what the plumbing costs. But it's sometimes a little bit more, to be honest with you. So I'm going to have to say $5,000 for electric in here. And that's going to cover recessed lighting. That's going to cover the new switch plates and the outlets and just all that little stuff. And they're going to make sure that everything runs, plus running new Romex, because a lot of this is not done by today's standard codes. and they'll know what the standard codes is, and they'll have to run new wiring, break holes in the wall and run the wiring. So anytime you look at this, you got to put an electrical budget.
Cynthia, do you know what Romex is?
Romex is the wires behind the walls. The Romex wires is behind the walls, and they come, there's a 14.2, there's a 12.2. Why is there a 12.2 and a 14.2? Because codes in a dining room want you to have 14.2 in the rest of the house, and so on. There's so many factors, but you don't have to know everything. You just have to hire the right guy who understands it, and then ask him why he's doing that. As you're asking him, he's going to tell you, and then go back and verify that he's correct, so that he doesn't, pull a fast one on you. So rooms like this, I usually just chalk it down to, we already have the painting budget, so it's going to get painted. We already have the window budget, it's going to have the windows. It's already there. And doors, you're going to do, $60 a door. So really in this room, you already have all your budget taken in. So you don't really have to look at the room as you're going to add money to your budget. But you still want to come in the room and see if there's, termite damage or mold damage like the other room. You're going to have to add more sheetrock to your budget.
I want this light fixture, Paulie.
You could have it. Now, I'm noticing there is no central AC unit, okay? Now, an AC unit in a big house like this is going to cost you $6,500. This unit here, this AC fan unit in the window has to go. No one wants that anymore. That was 1980s, that was big in the 80s. And there's no central. How do I notice there's no central? Well, if you look up, there's no vents. If you look down, there's no vents. I knew this a long time ago because I was looking for that. That's the first thing I look. When I drive up to a house, I'm looking, is the unit here? Did someone steal it? Or is there even a unit? These older houses, some of them never had it. There's a lot of trees around here. They probably get a lot of shade. And so the people that lived here were, well, in June, July, August, I'll just gut it out and sweat in the house. Well, today's buyer, they're not gutting out anything. They want everything brand new. So to put in a AC unit in a house like this, and it's a big house, about 18 to 2,000 square feet, you're talking about $6,500. That's for the unit, and usually we'll get a package unit. What's a package unit? Is it comes with a heater, heat pump, and the AC. And that will give you central heating and central AC. But there's no ductwork. That's the ducts that bring the AC and the heat into the rooms. Yeah. So either you can go underneath the house, because this is a crawl space. Anytime you hear it hollow, it's a crawl space. So because it's a crawl space, you could put it underneath. Also, there's an attic.
There's a basement underneath us here.
So there you go. So, and you could run it in the basement. Me personally, I like to put them in the attic and run them downstairs, and then come from the attic all the way down into the basement. Well, how you usually do that is if you take something like a closet like this, and you can run it from upstairs all the way down, and then run your AC and heating down a closet.
That's a good big closet right there, too.
That's a nice closet.